You know, for decades, we've dealt with piracy. We're talking about video piracy, music piracy, gaming piracy. It's been around for a long time. Ever since the beginning of the VHS, cassette, 8-track era, to basically moving on to the CD, DVD era, and then finally the internet era, where we're able to access it on certain websites, or download it via torrents. That we were able to do this, and for the longest time, you've had people sit there, and companies like Sony and Universal Music and Warner trying to shut down the piracy industry. And that's not going to happen anytime soon. There's a lot into this, and we're going to go a little bit onto this situation because it's happening again. And this time they want to attack you, the customer, the one who basically has the IP. You're subscribed to the internet. They want to go through your cable company and get you shut down, because figure that's going to stop it. That's going to really stop it. But what you're doing in there is you're promoting censorship. Yeah, in a way you're promoting it because you're locking down someone from accessing the internet. And that is just blatantly wrong to that point. But before we start on this, don't forget to comment, like, share, and hit that subscribe button, because basically it's very important. Whether you're on Rumble or you're on YouTube, we really do appreciate it. On there, it moves us up in the algorithm, even though right now YouTube is playing some games again. And we have a video coming out on that. That basically, they're trying to, how can we put this? Shut down reviews. That's what they want to do. Shut down reviews of stuff. And it's something, again, that's been going on for quite some time as well. But let's move on to this. Recently, Anime Corner, this was late April, had put this article out. Unworkable and deeply concerned Sony Music among parties pushing to cut off internet for pirating customers. Supreme Court asked to intervene. Oh, come on! Following a lawsuit from several major record companies, including UMG Records, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Brothers Records, a major Texas ISP, Grande Communication Networks, has sought the Supreme Court to intervene after being found guilty of contributing copyright infringement by failing to terminate internet access after receiving the evidence that its customers were committing copyright infringement. The judge was handed down in 2023. Grande's efforts at appeal failed in 2024. First of all, I want to know how the hell they found him guilty on this. And they did not fight this the way... Of course, I haven't seen the court records on this. How does Sony and all these companies know that particular customers from this on there is doing that? And they say, well, we got the IP numbers. Fellas, have you heard what a VPN is? Which basically disguises your number. Most people that are going to these sites hide their VPN numbers. Unless you know how to get around it, which, I wouldn't doubt it, but still, you thinking that one particular company is responsible for all this. How do you know it's not outside, hackers outside of the country or outside this particular state? This is a situation that basically has to be looked very carefully because this judgment was incorrect. In October 2010, after previous compliance, Grande adopted a policy to never terminate any subscribers for copyright infringement, no matter how many reports it received. The fact was highlighted in its 2023 court loss, in which the jury found that Grande had credible proof of customers committing copyright infringement and willing to fail to take base measures to prevent further damages to copyright. A base measure, the court argued, and terminated the internet subscriptions. See, the thing is that, once again, if Sony sends paperwork says, I know this, Mr. John Doe does this. I said, really? You have actual physical proof that you've seen him download something on there? What stops someone from coming into his home and basically did point? Like, say, for example, he rents his home out and they use his internet. Or someone hacking from outside, which is possible because a lot of people don't do this, that basically they don't lock their internet access. That basically on the outside, someone is tapping into the internet and the people don't know that it's happening. And this happens a lot. Do you go after the libraries? Do you go after the restaurants that, that this happens to? Because I know there are a lot of places, Starbucks. Do you go after Starbucks to that point and shut them down? I don't think so. You're looking for a boogeyman, to chop their head off and send them to prison. The record companies pay companies like Rights Corp to track BitTorrent users and identify pirating customers' IP address, which are then forwarded to Grande. They argue that after sending one notice of a pirating customer, if Grande takes no action after the second, that it will constitute copyright infringement. Grande says terminating connections prematurely in a response to an unstateable allegations of infringement was a staggered penalty of $2 harm. And you got to remember, innocent until proven guilty. These people are throwing numbers at these companies. Says this is your IP address. This is what your person's doing. You don't have in a court of law, and I'm surprised that the court sided with the music companies. They don't have physical proof. All they have is an IP address. It's like saying, I know that they're making bombs at 1200 such and such drive, so you need to go in there and take care of it. I said, but what physical proof that you have on that? I just know. That's what these companies are saying. The court sided with record companies ordering Grande to pay $46,000 in statutory damages for failing to terminate connections. This was later ordered to be recalculated upon appeal. Nevertheless, the ruling added that presents the courts that it may use in the future to hold ISPs responsible for the actions of their users, despite that legal avenues to directly target infringers for their actions. Copyright holders have a clear right to sue those directly responsible for infringing content, and for the right to enforce ISP to reveal the identities of those parties. Respondents may not wish to do that for political or public relation reasons, but that is their choice, and it is on them for refusing to invoke the rights Congress actually provided via the statute, Grande said. Grande says forcing ISPs to ban customers or face massive legal damages would be unworkable and deeply concerning, deeply unfair, and would unduly harm innocent subscribers. And highlights the heavy cost of terminating connections, including harming children's learning, disabling connections of medical devices, and others. Grande also laid out numerous logistical issues with placing the onus on ISP to ban customers without Congress creating a detailed framework on how to do this, which will likely follow years of consultation. It's worth noting that Sony, Warner, and Universal through Atlantic, all parties to this case, are members of the MPA, which consulted with lawmakers on the recent FADPA foreign anti-piracy bill tabled by Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren. ISP were also consulted. But let me tell you, there's a lot more to this. Do check out this article. You have to understand situations here. Once again, you're going after the John and not the criminal itself. Because they say, well, we can't find them, so let's just blindly blanket anyone. And this happened before. They were doing this before. And basically, the cable companies got sued for, willfully miss for those lawsuits. That basically, you haven't proved that I was doing this. Do you have physical proof other than an IP address that I was doing this? IP addresses can be faked. This is true. And the thing is, you have to understand is you can't go willy-nilly going after anyone that just because you feel that they've done something wrong, that, just cut their internet access. There are people, the elderly, the children out there that basically they don't do this stuff, and you're wrangling them into this category. Yes, that they went and if we go back, we could probably find them as well, because there were people that were accused. I remember, over a decade ago, that they were trying to say, well, this little old lady in such and such area was downloading music left and right, and she didn't even know, how to do this. She only goes on the internet to talk to her friends on like a Facebook type chat, or basically to look at recipes. This is the situation that basically needs to be resolved within there. And here's the other thought. And it's not condoning piracy or anything like that. Unfortunately, all these companies, they license this product out to streaming services. And the thing about it is, they pull it and return it. Pull it and return it. In other words, simpler terms, one day you might have it on one service, next month it's gone. Or it's not available in certain zones. And see, that's the major problem in this business with streaming. Access to the content. There are countries that basically you cannot access certain movies, certain TV series, certain, to the point. I've had problems with copyright claims where basically certain countries were copyright claiming my shit. That basically, oh no, you can't be doing it because it's, you can't have it in this country. Well, then block my channel from that country. Don't copyright claim my channel or to that point. BBC was doing this to me for quite some time on there. I'm still trying to filter out to about at least a dozen or two videos. And I'm talking about videos that go back 4-5 years ago that I've copyright claimed on my system. They're known for infringing, some of the constitutional acts. For example, those of us who work as content creators, the Fair Use Act, which we have the video coming out. HBO just violated just recently, attacking Critical Drinker. Because Critical Drinker was being very detailed on how bad The Last of Us was. I'm not watching that show. My wife watches it. But I know it's not a great show. It's not well done. It's very poorly written. Season 2 of The Game, very poorly written as well. Awful for what they've done. But this is what they do. This is what they do on a constant basis. And and Sony, I call censorship Sony. You know what they do with the anime and manga, what they've done lately with Crunchyroll to that point. And this is the problem that we have. You wonder why people go off to piracy. They lose them to piracy. That's why you have, recently Pioneers pulling out of the DVD business. Even though there is a major demand again for DVD and Blu-ray. Why are they doing this? They said, well, it's not a lucrative business anymore. I said, no, check your numbers again. People are starting to buy. In fact, we just had a flea market for CDs, DVDs, albums just recently, sort of like a convention here in New York. I just let me tell you something. I just because and I said this is going to go away. I just bought Redo the Healer on DVD, on Blu-ray actually. Just got it in the mail the other day. I also offered, and I haven't gotten at this point. I should have it by the time this airs. I also ordered Interspecies Reviewers, which was hard to find, and I had to pay a lot of money for it. To that point, I had to bounce between two companies, between Amazon and Barnes and Noble, as far as price point. At that point, I had to go with Barnes and Noble at the moment because they had a better price point, and ship time was less. The other companies, it would be a longer ship time to wait for it. So who knows where it's coming from. And these are the uncensored versions. Same thing with Gate. Gate, I just got Gate as well. Another one that's hard to get. And there are many others. There are many other movies and stuff like that out there. And we're talking regular streaming movies that are hard to find on streaming that, you can't get it on DVD or Blu-ray. Recently, we're talking about reopening Alcatraz, and they said, the movie The Rock and stuff like that. But there are two other movies about Alcatraz itself, which was Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, great film. And the other one's The Birdman of Alcatraz, to that point. And The Birdman of Alcatraz is only still available only on DVD. It hasn't gotten a remaster, and it's hard to get as well. So you see where I'm going at. You see what I'm going at with this situation. And this affects anime. This really, truly affects anime itself. It affects manga. Affects all the music you watch. But if they made it more readily available, maybe piracy would be just a thing of the past. If basically they translated things correctly, not edited them, maybe piracy will be a thing of the past. But they're not going to do that anytime soon. But what I want you to do this right now is to comment. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.